All right, I think we're going to get started. Welcome everyone to Cloudastructure's webinar on the ROI of AI and remote guarding. We are going to be having these webinars once a month to encourage our customers and prospects to learn more about Cloudastructure and some of the benefits of our solution, as well as just learning from our customers what they're seeing in terms of the benefits of our solution. Oh, let's see. Today we have a great panel. We have Rick Bentley, our founder and CEO from Cloudastructure. We have Brittany Deal, the president of Nevada Commercial Services, and Whitney Frazier, our vice president of sales from Cloudastructure. They'll all be talking about remote guarding and AI and our solution. Brittany will start off with some of the security challenges that her company is facing with respect to security, safety, incidents, etc. And then Rick will talk about our solution and how it works end to end. And then Whitney will give us a small demo in terms of how our solution works. But mainly what we're here today is to get your questions answered. So we're going to try to zip through the early parts of the presentation so that we can leave enough room for you to do Q&A. Okay, so why don't you take it away, Brittany?
You got it. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So Cloudastructure asked me to kind of jump in here and talk about my experience with security from a property management perspective. And particularly one building that we manage in downtown Reno. We have always had security manned guards on site during the day, and then the drive-bys at night. But our building still has had issues with all of these things that you see up here: theft, property damage, squatters, loitering, the unhomed and unhoused, kind of finding a place to be warm and stay. And then kind of on the opposite side of that, we've had tenants who gain access to the parking garage and had damage to their vehicles by fault of their own, but claiming that it's, kind of a mismanagement of the gate system. So, even though we've had security on site, we still have had issues with all of these things. Those of you that have had security kind of at your properties know at nighttime, they really just kind of come up, scan a badge, prove they were there. But anyone that's watching that building is going to be able to time that, right? So we purchased some significantly expensive mats, placed them in the parking lot. Clearly someone knew what time security came. They came and they stole those mats. I mean, it was like $3,000 worth of material. That's just one example of things that we've had going on at the property. Coming, our daytime security guard coming in the morning to find homeless that have made their way into the parking garage, into the lobby, into the stairwells, all kinds of things. So vandalism, graffiti. So those are the things that we experience, on a property management aspect of the downtown property. So, we've recently jumped in to this AI for security and are having great experience with it. So we've been able to get rid of completely the drive-by security at night. We've been able to get rid of our sort of later security guard with this technology that they're going to tell you a little bit more about, saving us. I think, for this building in particular, it's on the high end. We're going to be saving about $70,000 annually with being able to get rid of an actual security guard contract and move towards more of a maintenance engineer that can help with some of the daytime things with this technology that they're going to talk about. Those of you that are in property management understand costs are skyrocketing everywhere. So anything we can do to save on something like this is definitely beneficial to us and to the end user without having to skyrocket cams, triple nets, rents, and all that.
That's great, Brittany. Thanks so much. That's $70,000 a year for one property. And you'll see that as we go further on when Whitney talks about the ROI. But let's get into the technology. Take it away, Rick.
All right. Hi, everybody. I know this looks like kind of a confusing slide, but I think it's so important to understand how things work. And in about 5 minutes, you will all be experts in it. So just stick with me if you would. On the left side of the slide, you see there's cameras and speakers. And the speakers is new, and I'll get to that last. But those cameras at your locations now probably talk to what's called an NVR, a network video recorder. And just real quick, let's go through the history. Originally there was the VCR, for those of us old enough to remember, the video cassette recorder that used to just put all the cameras on tape. Then that went to the DVR, the digital video recorder, which replaced the tape with a hard drive. The NVR is kind of where the industry has been so far before we came along, and that's a network video recorder. It records everything locally on hard drive, but you can log into that remotely, which if you have more than a few locations, probably gives your IT department nightmares. But we have the CVR, the cloud video recorder. And what it's doing is it's getting the video feeds from the cameras, storing it locally in case broadband goes down or something. But assuming broadband's available, it pushes it up to the cloud. There we store it and we run it through computer vision. And the computer vision is key to our solution. I used to work at Google, and just like Google indexed the web so that you can search the web for kittens or whatever you're looking for, we index all the video. So you can search the video for backpack or car or Lauren with her face or this license plate number, things like that. So it makes it really, really easy, especially when you have hundreds of cameras or dozens of cameras to go through and just find what you're looking for. It saves a lot of time. It makes the solution much more powerful. And then we have, after the computer vision, we can do all the basic stuff, live view, playback the recording, but we have alerts. Those can go to you and or they can go to a remote guard. So when they go to the remote guards, this is really the line between artificial intelligence and human intelligence. And we're trying to give the computer more and more all the time. So let's just say you gave some guards at 2 a.m. 100 cameras to watch. They're not going to do a very good job of that at all, right? It's 2 a.m. and it's 100 cameras. So like 10 by 10 on your screen, each one's basically a thumbnail. You don't know what's happening anymore, right? So what the computer vision does is all the boring stuff. It sits there and says, hey, someone crossed this line off the sidewalk onto your property after 8 p.m. Let's have a human look at it and see what they're up to. Computers aren't good at subtlety. And they can't tell the difference between people fighting and people dancing, right? They can't tell the difference between someone turning the key in the door versus someone using a jimmy tool to open the door, right? That's just a little too subtle for computers, but hey, someone stepping off the sidewalk and onto your property after 8 p.m., why not just have a human take a peek at that? And so they do that, and they do that all night long, but they don't have to watch the camera all the time. So fewer guards can support more cameras, and they're not bored because they're just not watching nothing. And then they can notify you, local security, police, whatever sort of escalation chain we set up. Even before they do that notification, remember the speakers we talked about at the beginning, this line from the top that goes from remote guards, that blue line goes over everything and back to cameras and speakers. The remote guards can talk down to the speakers live to whomever's there. And it could be as simple as, hey, it's 7 o'clock, the leasing office is closed, but if you come back tomorrow or you go to our website, we'd be happy to help you. And at 2 a.m., it might be, I don't know what you're doing here, but stop trying to open the windows. And yes, you in the blue shirt. Yes, I'm talking to you. We're calling the police. You're on video. Your face has been recorded, right? And so the next morning, rather than come back to a broken window, you come back to an incident report that says there was someone there and we shoot them away. It's really just a better way to do video. It turns video from being just a forensic tool that's reactive to a crime prevention tool that's proactive. All right, I guess next one. Yeah, so like I said, the computers watch the video, the alerts go to the guards talk down, they dispatch as appropriate. Like I just said, it turns it from reactive to proactive.
Okay, Whitney. Whitney is super excited about some of the new efforts we're doing to articulate ROI. So why don't you take it away?
Yeah, absolutely. So you will see that this solution is really an end-to-end solution, and there's nothing like it on the market as far as giving you AI analytics, as well as that remote guarding piece that's so important to deterring that crime from happening. And then obviously when that crime does happen, we have a 95% apprehension rate of actually catching the person who performed that crime. And then on average, we actually save our clients over 40% on guard costs, which I will dive more into in just a few slides. So some other ROI elements that go into property management and facilities management is obviously as minuscule as finding and charging for those lease violations, like unoccupied residents, pets not being picked up after, or even trash being on your property. It's something that's just a nuisance that you have to deal with, but you can charge for those lease violations and start gaining some revenue back and really seeing that ROI. We can also reduce those vacancy and move outs due to surveillance and security issues that are experienced on the properties and facilities. And so improving that safety feature of your properties is really a value add upsell it from a marketing standpoint as well. We also, again, are able to reduce those guard costs that are very expensive. And then we are also able to reduce the lawsuits and insurance rates that Brittany, alluded to that are skyrocketing these days. So this is a tool that we like to show prospects and clients and really customize this just to get kind of the idea in your head of how much you can actually save when reducing your on-site guard costs. Having physical guards on property is so expensive. If you can even reduce them to half the time that they need to be on the property, or leveraging our solution in addition to physical guards, or removing them completely, this is some of the savings that you can see. For one property, it's as little as $15,000, but if you look at it from a multiple property standpoint and you're looking at your portfolio, you're talking millions of dollars saved here. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and show the demo. Hi, for those of you who missed my introduction, my name is Whitney Frazier, and I am the Vice President of Sales here at Cloudastructure. So I'm really excited to be here today to share with you our award-winning surveillance solution. So not only has it been recognized as an industry leader in the space, blazing that trail, but it's also the best end-to-end solution when it comes to your surveillance needs. So I'll show you how our solution can really help you take that proactive approach in stopping that crime and theft in its tracks, giving you that peace of mind you deserve when it comes to protecting those facilities and properties or your assets. Let's go ahead and dive in. When you log into our platform from any mobile device, desktop, or laptop, you are quickly brought to this dashboard. What I love about this is it gives you a high-level overview of the overall health of your surveillance system. It's a really holistic approach. So what does that mean? You can have several different facilities or properties located throughout multiple states, all centrally located and managed here on one simple dashboard. For example, we have properties in Hawaii, California, and Nevada listed here. Again, really taking that proactive approach. Our next view is our Live View tab. What I love about this is you can have pre-customized views already set in place. So you don't have to worry about editing or finding the right property. You can already have those preset here. So whether you're a facilities manager, an asset manager, or a CEO of a company, your view is going to vary a little bit different from your colleagues. Here you can already have those predetermined views in place. Our next tab is the Recordings tab. So this is where the magic happens. All of our AI analytics are really leveraged here. When you have an event that takes place on site, you want to be able to quickly assess the situation and make sure that you have that video footage to share with other decision makers or authorities that need to get involved. So when you come into the Recordings tab, you are going to see all of the recordings for that property. You can come and quickly select, what happened at one of your properties. You can select your property. It'll show you all the video footage in the last 7 days that's been recorded. You can come down here. You can adjust it if you know the event took place an hour ago or up to 30 days. But you can go ahead and adjust the date and time down here as well if you know those specifics. But if you don't know those specifics, you can go ahead and quickly search tags. So say that somebody came on property and had a backpack on and stole a couple things. you can go ahead and come on here, search backpack, and you can quickly see how fast that eliminates all the other video footage that doesn't pertain to a backpack being included in it. Talk about a huge time savings. If I would have had this when I was managing properties, it would have saved me hours of searching through video footage in hopes that I would find what I was looking for. Again, just a huge time and cost savings here. Another example we have are bicycles getting stolen. That's pretty common this day and age. Bikes cost a lot of money nowadays. We can go ahead and expand that search. There you go. You can see just the videos pertaining to that bicycle or that tag. All right, our next tab, we also have reporting capabilities here. If you ever have any reporting requests, I welcome that conversation, and our development team can work really hard on getting those reporting needs fulfilled. Our last tab here is our monitoring tab. So before we actually get into the behind the scenes of what takes place, I want to show you a very high level video of how remote guarding really, again, takes that proactive approach in stopping crime before it starts.
Attention, be advised, you are in an Edgewood Security live video monitor location. You're being observed by a live agent and all activities are being recorded. The police have been contacted.
Attention, you're being watched and recorded by a live agent. You're in a protected area. You must leave immediately. Authorities are being notified.
So you can see that is very powerful as far as deterring from a crime happening or really stopping the crime in its tracks. So with that being said, here's a little sneak peek of the software behind the solution. When you come into our monitoring tab, you'll be able to come into this queue and all of the events and alerts that were set up, whether it's line detection, zone detection, object detection, it will all be listed here. And you can quickly come in and view that event that was triggered. On the left-hand side is what triggered the event. And then on the right-hand side is going to be that real time. So there's no lag as far as when you get the alert and you're viewing the incident happening. You can also see here that object detection, that rule that triggered the alert in the first place, and the object that was detected was a person. You can get as specific as several different objects if you would like. For example, this one is person and handbag. This is really powerful. Again, if it was somebody stealing a purse, you could do that voice down and stop that person in its tracks from taking place. So in conclusion, no one in the market has an integrated remote guarding solution with their surveillance like we do. We really delivered the whole package. We're leading the pack with AI analytics, the cloud architecture, and now this tightly integrated remote guarding piece. The remote guarding feature alone has a very big ROI for our customers in many ways, whether that's catching lease violations, all the way up to the more severe crimes of property damage and theft taking place. Even if you're able to reduce on-site security guard costs by one guard, that essentially covers our solution for a full year. And now I'd like to open it up for Q&A to really answer any of your questions on remote guarding, our cloud VMS system, or the ROI that our powerful solution provides. Let's go ahead and jump into Q&A.
Okay, let's open it up to Q&A. But before we do that, I did want to acknowledge that we, in terms of remote guarding, the video footage that was supplied in our presentation was through our partnership with Edgeworth Security, which is one of our remote guarding partners. So, okay, so with respect to Q&A, let's get it started. Rick, do you want to start from the chats and lead the Q&A?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So we don't have signage requirements, but your local authorities might have some signage requirements. You may have internal policy for one. We're happy to provide signs. We have really great signs. Our signs are along the lines of, if you can read this, your image has already been recorded and transmitted off site, right? Or if you can read this, your face has been recognized. So they make for excellent deterrents, depending on how aggressive you want the sign to be. But yeah, happy to hand out free signs all day long if you'll put them up. Yeah, so question, do you have to do remote guarding through you, or can we do our own? The answer is whatever makes the most sense. Some partners could be so large, they like to have their own in-house guard system. Like a lot of customers have, or a lot of entities have a GSOC, a Global Security Operations Center, that already has guards, on their payroll, and we can certainly empower that. As Lauren mentioned, we have a partner, Edgeworth in Pittsburgh. They're here US based. They've been in the industry for a long time, since before we were, and they're excellent at remote guarding, and you're able to outsource to them if you want it US based. We have our own internal one as well that is based in India. There's advantages and disadvantages. One advantage is when it's 2 a.m. here, they're awake there, right? We're really agnostic on who does the guarding for you. We'd like to help you find the best solution for you.
I'll just kind of jump in on that too, Rick, that, we're currently doing a little bit of a mixed bag on that. Obviously, we've hired the remote guarding for after hours, but with the app and, online capability, we have the tools for our on-site managers and managers off-site to be, kind of checking the cameras, seeing what's happening during the day. So, we're doing a little bit of both.
Yeah, and you can really mix it up, right? I think most people start with overnight remote guarding. That's kind of the most bang for the buck to get into it. But even if you have on-site guards, they can't be everywhere all the time, and they can't be watching all the cameras all the time. And even in the middle of the day, we can help with remote guards, tell them where to go and where to be and what to do and what's happening for things that they just can't keep all track of. Do you rely on our internet connection? If our internet runs slow, would it hinder you? Same for power. Do you have a backup solution for power? Yeah, so we are cloud-based. We do need broadband. So we have looked at some industries that were challenging, like marijuana grow facilities that could be in the middle of nowhere, right? If there's not broadband there, there's not much that we can do to help. However, if you're in an urban environment, from your cable company to AT&T to whatever, we have yet to find the location that can't get enough broadband to work with our solution. Sometimes it's a little slow to provision, but it's always there. In some remote areas, we have put up a tower with point-to-point wireless to a wireless ISP, and that works just fine too. For battery backup, camera solutions nowadays are usually what's called PoE, power over Ethernet. So you don't typically take power to the camera and a separate line for data to the camera. It's just one cable now. And all those cameras get plugged into the same power over Ethernet switch. That switch goes on a UPS along with our CVR and then your router, and everything's backed up. So that's pretty easy to do. Edgeworth, the partner we mentioned, is also an integrator, and they can help you figure that out as well, I'm sure. Yeah, it's very, very mobile friendly. We do have iOS and Android apps. They're not as full feature as the web though, but we do make sure that, like, if you're using Chrome or whatever, you can log in from anything. I log in from my phone, my Android phone, my Apple tablet, my iPad, my Windows laptop, my Windows desktop. We got engineers here who log in from Linux all the time. So we try and make it so it works everywhere. I have a 65,000 square foot office building with 20 cameras. How much would it be? We charge typically per month per camera for the VMS solution, and same sort of rate for the guard solution. The VMS solution is $249 per year, $249 per year per camera. So 20 times 249, $5,000 a year for the base VMS. And then it depends, again, for remote guarding, do you want just overnight? Do you want, 24/7? And happy to have that conversation with you to figure out where you'd want to be.
Yeah, you can, you can email Whitney at whitneyf@cloudastructure.com. I'll put that email in the for everybody to see.
Yeah, she'd be happy to follow up with you. And then we do have the CVR, the cloud video recorder, which is priced, I think, competitively with NVRs, but we warranty it for the life of the service. And there's no software license, no per seat license. There's none of that, nonsense you see very commonly in the video surveillance space for all the upcharges after you thought you knew what the price was.
I think there was a question in here for Brittany too. It says, wondering if Brittany has seen different levels of success, whether it's commercial or multifamily.
So I personally haven't used it on the multifamily yet. However, we're considering this strongly for a property up by the university that we manage. Just from the experience that we have on the commercial side, I could see how this would be hugely beneficial, especially for what you're talking about with the pet waste, auto theft, just the transient nature of the area. I think it would be huge. So I'll be happy to report back once we try this out.
Awesome. And just to piggyback off that too, we have a lot of customers who are in the multifamily space who have leveraged our technology and have seen, results from catching porch pirates and catching, them stealing furniture off of their tenants' porches, to people with package theft is huge on multifamily sites. So there's many, many ways our technology and solution has been leveraged to help alleviate those pain points that are experienced on a day-to-day basis, both in the commercial space and in the multifamily space. So great question.
Great. What separates this from monitored mobile surveillance trailers? For those who don't know what that is, you probably see in a lot of parking lots now, there's some sort of like little trailer. It's got a big pole, a lot of cameras on top, often a blue light that might be flashing on it because it looks cool. And that's really a VMS solution that could work with remote guarding, and it could work with us too. There's no reason why we can't have cameras on one of those trailers with one of our CVRs that's backhauling over 4G or 5G to the cloud. However, the vast majority of our customers are using their established cameras that are in the building and not, taking up space and cluttering the parking lot, right? But I'm happy to work with those too. It's for us, it's just as long as we get the video stream, we're happy.
And I can jump in on that too. Our experience with those is that really just covers a large, like you said, a parking lot area. With this solution, we're able to get cameras into stairwells, into the lobby of an office building. It kind of covers all aspects of a building where that would really only cover one large open area.
Do you have different grade cameras like night vision? Is it an upcharge to cover areas with little to no exterior lighting at nighttime? So we don't make cameras. We'll work with any camera. We're camera agnostic. The cameras you have on your building now will likely be a great start. If they're 15, 20 years old, I'm sure those are fully depreciated assets anyway, and they're probably a little grainy and not so great at night. Pro tip on night vision for cameras, they work. They're great. They're a little spendy sometimes. Motion lights from Home Depot are $19. You put up your outside lights with a motion detector on them, and the big spotlights come on when someone walks by. We don't know if they triggered it, if someone just flipped the switch because they saw someone walking through and someone's about to confront them. Motion lighting is a great deterrent and an excellent night solution. But yeah, we'll work with any night vision camera. But go ahead, Whitney.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that too, Rick, if there is a certain property that you want us to do a surveillance audit on and to come out and look at your camera angles, the quality of cameras that you have in place, we can actually put together a proposal for you for improvements. And if that, is improving your camera structure, then great. But we can actually do a full security audit for you.
Happy to do it too. Yeah, but no extra charge for whether it's night vision camera, regular camera. We don't make cameras. We can supply cameras. We'll help you find the best solution, we think, for what you got going on. And we don't have a dog in that fight. So we're the software nerds.
The last one was, what kind of system access do you need? Will you need to API into our security systems? Oh my goodness, sorry.
Oh yeah. So yeah. I mentioned just before, we're the computer nerds, right? So we take network security very seriously. I think your IT department will be their new best friend. That NVR I mentioned is a web server, effectively. The previous generation solution is running a web server from your corporate network, which is kind of insane. No modern security solution would do that for anything else, whether it's email or file sharing or anything nowadays. But somehow the video systems have kind of been given a pass from the past on how they do things. And they want to run a web server from your location. Our CVR just makes an outbound HTTPS request to our cloud. So this is really just like when you open up your laptop and you log into Gmail, that's over HTTPS. If you go to Amazon, eSchwab, Morgan Stanley, wherever you're going, Chase, that's a secure outbound connection your laptop's making. And there's nothing there for anyone to hack, right? It's not outside the firewall where people can find it and get to it, like an NVR might have to be to allow you remote access to the videos at that site. So our CVR comes up typically just DHCP. It doesn't even need a fixed IP address. We don't need a hole in the firewall. We don't need port forwarding in the router. It just shows up and makes an outbound HTTPS request. So it looks like someone just browsing the web, and it's just as secure. So we really don't need to be inside your security system at all.
What kind of cameras do you have to do this?
Whitney, I think you can answer that one. It's great for property managers.
Yeah, so we are camera agnostic. This is where, it's a really big cost savings as well. We're able to work with almost any camera that is currently in place on your property today.
Yeah, I wonder if Brittany can speak to that, because I think it's a huge win for property management. So
Yeah, we had, a really old system on our property before switching to Cloudastructure. And the great thing is the cameras that we had existing there, they were able to, transfer that to the new system. And then, we did add some cameras to cover additional areas with the speakers, but it was great that we didn't have to spend all that extra to replace all of the cameras. So what we had there worked with the system. I'm not the tech nerd, so I couldn't tell you what that was, what the difference is, but for me as an end user, they told me these will work and add here. So that was great. It was a huge cost savings.
Will it be vendor locked in, or is it service easily transferable upon an asset sale? So certainly all the hardware, the cameras and the speakers, whether night vision, day vision, whatever type of cameras you have there, and the speakers, that'll work with any system. They're not locked into us. Our CVR works with us, but it's really just a big, powerful computer. And you could certainly switch that over to run old-fashioned video surveillance software that you can buy that runs on Windows, right? So if on the way out, you'd be selling the cameras and the speakers, and the CVR would be there, and the new purchaser would have the ability to go right into remote guarding day one, which they might really appreciate. And if they don't care, they still are buying the cameras and speakers and the CVR, which someone can reinstall Windows on and turn it to an old-fashioned system if they want to. So I don't think you're really looking at any CapEx loss upon transfer of the asset.
yeah, and just to follow up on that, I think that we don't require our customers to sign multi-year contracts like some of our competitors, and so you can cancel at any time. And so there is no locked-in format in our business model.
Yeah, we see it at co-location space where we might run computers. We go to AWS or Google or Microsoft to host something, and they'll just charge us, each month, or they'll give us a discount if we pay a year in advance, kind of thing. But if you go to a data center, they really want to have those locked-in contracts. I think it's a pretty common in the real estate industry that the value of the property is often tied, not somehow, but it's clearly tied to the duration of those contracts. But we're more on the IT side of things, so we build it. We think you'll like it. We're happy to turn it on. If you don't, we'll miss you when you're gone. But we haven't really seen that. We don't feel the need to lock you in.
Here's a question about IMIX. Rick, that's probably for you.
Can you read it? I think we're in a different channel.
Sure. What's the key difference between using IMIX and having remote guarding on the same platform?
IMIX is part of a remote guarding solution. Before we came along and had everything in the cloud, we had a partner ask us, hey, can you integrate with this call center support type of software that can move the video around? And we looked at it and said, wow, this doesn't make any sense. The way people were doing it before us was you had a guard center with a bunch of Windows computers that were catching the video from the NVR on site, which were getting pushed to the Windows computers of the guard center, which is then running computer vision software to some extent, which really wasn't very good, which is not surprising. It was just running locally, not in the cloud. And then some sort of other Windows software to manage all the all the alerts and follow-ups and what happened. And we said, no, there's really no reason to do that. We already have all the video in the cloud. We can provide a browser interface to the guards, and we can do it better, faster, cheaper, geographically diversified, right? At the next lockdown, what happens to the monolithic guard centers, right? It's a fair question to ask. I'm sure they have business continuity plans for that, but is that as powerful as the guards can work from anywhere, right? IMIX is one part of that other stack that I mentioned. I'm sure other people have done it other ways without IMIX, but ours is all in the cloud, one-stop shop. very efficient. The computer vision's in the cloud where the most powerful computers live. So we can do the best job at the computer vision. And we think it's just the best solution.
Okay, so here's one. Does everyone with access to the surveillance have the ability to see everything? I don't necessarily want my property managers to see surveillance on other sites.
Yeah, for sure. So we have, users, groups, and roles, basically. So you can say, hey, Brittany manages these properties and she can see all of those, but Brittany's not in IT. So we're not going to let her change any IP addresses and potentially break things, right? Meanwhile, your IT group could have access to all the locations for IP addresses and such, but maybe can't see any video if you want, right? So it's very finely grained. You can set it any way you want for both what the people can do and what they can see.
Right. And I think I'll take this one, which is the support structure. What's our support structure to Charlotte, North Carolina, or other areas in the US? And do we use our own team or local integrators? I think that's actually a two-part question. If there are cameras to install and cabling, et cetera, and there's an installation required, we have a team of installation partners across the country that we like to work with. And if you're on this call and you want to join us and be part of that growing team, please do. And those local integrators essentially become partners and support the customer. However, we also have a 24/7 support for our integrators and also for our customers if they choose to go direct. So you have both options in terms of support.
Yeah, I'll make it clear. We don't have trucks or screwdrivers. So we can't install it for you, but we can find someone who can.
Yep.
And some of our customers say, no one touches anything at our sites. We have an internal team for that. And that's fine too.
Right. That's right. What kind of AI features are we developing now?
All kinds. So, we have the stuff that we're using now for the remote guarding, which is everything from line crossing, object detection in a zone, based upon what time of day it might be. We have face recognition. So you can say, if this person comes back, the one who threatened to kill everyone last week, we want to know about it right away, right? So we got we got person detection, face detection, face recognition. That's Lauren, for example. Not just I detected a face, I recognized which face it was. Same thing for license plates. We can recognize license plates and read them. Things we're working on next, I think, are pretty exciting. I'm kind of, like I said, a nerd about this stuff, though. It's really not about detecting new things. It's more about doing a better job with it. Reducing the false positives and the false negatives at the same time is kind of the elusive goal of all things that do detection and recognition. A big thing in the computer space right now, I won't do my whole spiel on it, is called persistence, where the computer remembers what was happening before and can make intelligent decisions based off of that going forward. So a lot of, wow, there's not normally 20 people here at 2 a.m. Maybe I should tell someone about that, right? And maybe that's you getting hit by a flash mob. So there's lots of things like that we're working on going forward. And we think it's really exciting, and everyone might think it's boring, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and for those of you who might not be following us as closely, we recently won 8 Asters Award, which are the Homeland Security Awards, probably the most prominent security award you can get. And we had a full sweep of our AI capabilities, including our analytics as well as remote guarding. So we are super excited. Some of our partners say our analytics are the best in comparison to others out there in the market. And so we encourage you to contact sales@cloudastructure.com to learn more about our AI features. And Whitney's fantastic about giving demos on that. All right. So another question, can your system right now help keep people out of the pool at night? Whitney.
Yes, I was actually answering the last question too, but I was on mute. One thing I do want to add really quick before we jump into the poll question is on the AI features. As we are, having these conversations with our clients and checking in, and if they have any ideas of what would help, make our solution a little bit better, adding object detection, we take that into consideration. We communicate that with our development team, and they work really hard on getting that added and making that a priority. So it's really a, relationship and partnership with our clients and getting that feedback. As far as the pool question, we can absolutely stop people from getting in the pool after hours. In fact, we've had many, many clients have this issue, and we have been able to stop people from doing this, creating, again, that property damage, throwing some of the furniture in the pool. We've had all sorts of different stories from our clients that we've been able to help them stop those tenants from breaking the rules and being in the pool after hours. So yes.
Yeah, I think key to getting to the pool at night is doing it stealthily. And when a speaker is yelling at you to put your clothes back on and get out of the pool, I'm guessing that happens because you're on video. I'm guessing that happens pretty fast.
Yes.
All right. So I think the questions are kind of wrapping up here. Maybe we just have a couple of closing comments from each of you before we close it out. Well, why don't we start with you, Whitney?
Yeah, my closing comment is just really, I'm looking forward, if you're interested in doing a one-on-one demo so we can dive a little bit more in depth to your needs, specifically creating a proposal, if you want us to, go over anything else as far as from a remote guarding or our AI analytics, I'd be happy to do a one-on-one demo with you. So please take advantage, email sales@cloudastructure.com or me directly at whitneyf@cloudastructure.com. And I look forward to connecting further. So thank you everyone for your time.
How about you, Brittany?
Yeah, one thing I just kind of wanted to add is, keep in mind something we didn't talk as much about today, but is that liability prevention. One thing I'm really excited about is here we have snowy weather here. We have a lot of people that try to take advantage of that situation and slip and fall. So this is a tool that could really be helpful in preventing those kinds of lawsuits, to show, did they take the right path? Did they intentionally walk through some ice? Were they wearing the right shoes? So not just about, damage prevention, loss and theft, but, the liability aspect as well. It's really exciting for that.
Right. And Rick?
Yeah, something I'd like to emphasize something Whitney touched on, and that is, we're here in Silicon Valley and around the world writing code. We would really like to hear from everyone else out there what feature set is missing for you right now. If the cameras and speakers and remote guard combinations could do this, it really could help me out. Please shout. If we don't have it, we might like to build it. So we got open ears.
That's great. Great. Okay. Well, that about wraps it up. Thanks everybody for joining. If you have any additional questions, again, it's sales@cloudastructure.com or whitneyf@cloudastructure.com. Our next webinar I'm posting here is 5 ways to make your property more secure. It's on April 13th at 9 a.m. And we hope you can join us. And we'll follow up with you to get your feedback on this webinar to make sure all your questions have been answered. So thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.